Earlier this week, I noticed that two children were wandering a bit far away from the group beyond the boundaries that we had established and kind of down a hill where visibility would be difficult for us adults to see them. So I called them back and just said, "Hey, come on back. You're getting too far away. Come back beyond this line here." And one child immediately came back. The other explained that she simply couldn't because she saw a really cool insect and she just had to follow it. She had to keep going where the insect was going. He did eventually convince her that we could find cool insects within our established boundaries. But really, I find this time of year, as we move into the spring, into the summer, children are spending a lot of their time noticing, following, observing really cool insects. Hello, I'm Nicole Dravillas-Fravel, and this is Wildwood Teaching. And today I have some books that can capitalize on children's interest in insects. Obviously, there are a ton of good books about insects, most obviously, all of the ones by Eric Carle. I have tried to move a little bit to beyond the obvious to perhaps some lesser known books, just to widen our areas of interest in what we're reading to the children. So the first book that I have for you today is The Bug Girl by Sophia Spencer. This one is an excellent introduction to autobiography because Sophia Spencer herself is the bug girl, and she tells the story of how from her earliest memories she was wildly interested in bugs. And it also talks a little bit about, how that may have set her apart from the other children and how she dealt with it. So it's also a good way for children to explore what it means to follow your own interests, to widen your interests, to get through perhaps tough social situations, and that it's not the end of the world, and there will still be opportunities to make friends and find people who are interested in things that you are interested in. Another book I found is Hey Little Ant by Philip and Hannah Hoos. And honestly, what drew me to this book was a little recommendation on the cover, because how could I resist a book that is recommended by Jane Goodall herself? Um, this really isn't a book about insects, so children won't really learn any facts about insects. Rather, it's about the urge to squish insects. And so this is a great book for perspective taking, as it asks the main character of this book to think about things from an ant's perspective. Right? Is the ant really being annoying? Is it really stealing your picnic food? Does it really have no feelings just because it is small? And I really like the pages too that call out that perspective, right? Where they have a page where you can see how giant the child is compared to the ant. And then they switch the perspective later on in the book. What if the boy were the small one and the ant were the large one? The other excellent thing I like about this book is that it ends ambiguously. We don't actually know whether the boy ends up squishing the ant. And so that leaves a lot of room for encouraging discussion from the group and from the children about what they might do in that situation, or what they are thinking about ants and the urge to squish them. Another interesting title is Bugs Are Insects by Anne Rockwell. And this book is designed to give children the facts of what makes an insect an insect. So it goes through the characteristics that are true for all insects, right? That it has 6 legs, that it has 3 body parts, that it has an exoskeleton. But it also includes um, ways that insects have adaptations within those insect characteristics. So, for example, that grasshoppers can use their legs to make sounds, or that water striders can paddle. Um, or I'm sorry, crickets use theirs for sound, grasshoppers use them to jump, water striders use them to paddle. And so this one, as opposed to the first two, really is one that you're going to want to pick up if you want children to know what an insect is and start learning facts about insects. Another one um, that allows children to learn facts about insects is Are You a Beetle? And there are actually other titles in this series. Are you a butterfly? Are you a bee? And what's great about this one is it really invites dramatic storytelling and readers' theater, in that it is designed for children to think about, if you were a beetle, here's what you would do. So I have a page marked um, here, for example, right? Your head is just the right size to fill the entrance to your burrow. When a passing ant or small spider is near enough, then drag your prey inside. So you can really encourage children to get their bodies moving as they're listening to help them understand what's going on in the book. We also have Dragonfly by Amy Bissonnette. And the basic structure of this book follows a dragonfly from hatching out of an egg as it goes through its very short life cycle. Um, and then kind of mixes in other information about dragonflies in terms of like their habitats or what they eat or how they go through their metamorphosis, when it makes sense within what the life cycle is. Um, and if you've seen some of my other book roundups, you know that I'm a big fan of the books that offer multiple ways to read it. So, for example, this book has on each page 2 or 3 sentences that give the basic information. And then, if you want to go deeper into it, if the children are interested in that particular part of a dragonfly's life cycle, then you read the smaller print and you have the choice, right, on each page, whether you are reading the large print only or reading the additional information. Um, right. If you are up for some information overload, there's Bugs Everywhere by Britta Teckentrup. Very realistic drawings of all of the insects. So it's also great for some journaling activities, giving children some ideas of what they can put in their nature journals. Usually when I read books like this that are packed with information, that have neat categories. Where do bugs live? Um, this one back here. Uh, what makes a bug, right? It's a bug. What is it? Usually what I do is I read maybe 1 or 2 sections at a time, depending on what we've observed with insects or the questions that children have, or sometimes I'll just go through the chapter headings and say, what do we want to learn, or what do we want to see about insects today? You choose. And it also gives them a way into how you can read nonfiction texts, that you don't have to read them cover to cover, front to back, that you can pop in and use them to look for the information that you're trying to find. The next one is A Butterfly is Patient. And Diana Hatz Aston and Sylvia Long have a whole series of books with this same sort of theme and structure. A nest is noisy, an egg is quiet, and each one of them is fabulous because they bring out a sense of wonder. Even though it's factual information, this kind of addition of the script, the script font here, where it says like a butterfly is creative, a butterfly is patient, gives you the main idea, right? You can see how they are creating, right? Creating a new body form along the way, right? So it kind of evokes an imagination, lets you think about the vocabulary while still giving a lot of information about each subject that they're covering on the page in very few words. We're still only looking at 2 or 3 sentences to convey the main idea. Next is an alphabet book. This is the Icky Bug book by Jerry Pallotta. And so obviously it's a different bug for each different letter of the alphabet. Um, and, 2 to 3 sentences about each bug. I like the fact that it's not just dry, same facts on every page, right? Here's a dragonfly. This is what it eats. This is where it lives. Now, here's an earwig. This is what it eats. This is where it lives. No, actually, Pallotta sought out what he felt was the most interesting thing about each different icky bug and chose that to put on the page. So, for example, that there are different types of bees, and bumblebees can withstand colder temperatures than other bees because they are somewhat fuzzy, almost like wearing a little blanket. So I was interested in reading the interesting facts of each insect. Lastly, that I always include a wordless option, and the wordless option this time is Little Butterfly. Now, there is a loose plot to this story. It starts with a child who rips their cape, and so they have like a little split in their cape, uh, and kind of mirrors when she finds a butterfly with the same little broken split wing, and just shows her kindness and how she goes about helping the butterfly. And so there is a loose plot, but I find it more interesting in kind of evoking the imagination of um, butterfly migration, butterfly metamorphosis, because the child also kind of wraps herself in her cape at one point and does a metamorphosis into a little cape cocoon. You can talk about kindness. You can focus on problem solving. So, kind of depending on where the children are at, um, what you think they need, what they feel they need, you can kind of tailor how you're talking about the book and the story that you're creating to match that particular topic. Like I said at the beginning, obviously not at all an conclusive list of the great picture books that are out there about insects. So if you've got a great one, especially one that is kind of fringe, maybe that isn't the common ones that we all know about, please make sure you share it with us. You can add on to the comments here to this video. You can find us on Facebook, find Wildwood Teaching on Instagram, or respond to my newsletter, and I will get that information out to everybody. And then make sure to join me here next week when I will be talking about risky play and how you can do it. So join me here next week. I will see you there.